Normally when I make a vlog, I talk about other stuff, and then I get into um, what's really pushing my buttons in the middle of the vlog, which confuses people. But I'm not going to do that this time. Um, I've been sitting on my hands for all morning, since last night, probably, when I learned that a new puppy had been collected from an airport, exchanged for money at an airport. A new, I think they're called Prague ratters, at the airport. Just like human trafficking, public trafficking, whatever you call it, trafficking. And I'm just so angry. I'm so angry that the previous puppy died under mysterious circumstances that sound very iffy. I've said it, I know it pisses people off, and I'm saying it again. That dog was so badly, I'm not even going to say cared for, because it wasn't cared for, it was played with. It was a toy. It was like children with their toys or with their dolls, and they played with them, they dressed them up, they put them in handbags, they pushed them around in a little pram. That's how that dog was treated by two adults, and they're not adults. That dog had some very precarious moments, and as you will have seen in the video I shared that I saw on Tattle, I saw it on Tattle last night. I've been looking at Tattle again, so this is where my information has come from. So that video I shared reminded me and showed you, those of you that didn't perhaps know it or think it or imagine it, all of those things that I'd remembered, the dragging him out, the dragging him against his will across those flagstones onto the gravel, dragging him, that often I saw Philip with him on the lead, and the only reason that he's still in the photo or still in the film is that he's got a lead on, because he's pulling away and trying to get away but can't because he's on a lead. So I watched that video last night. And then discover they've been and picked up another dog. So they've got another dog, and I can't remember the name of it. And are we going to see them do that again, or have they learned? Are they going to know how to look after this dog? One, you don't go and pick up a dog from an airport and exchange it for money. You normally would go and see where the dog had come from, how it had been raised, what conditions it had been born in, whether it had been come from well cared for parents. That's what you would normally do. You wouldn't normally go to an airport and just hand over money for a dog. That is just unbelievable. Secondly, you need to know how to care for any animal. You need to know what at this age, what the appropriate food is, proper restraint when it's travelling in a car, or however it's travelling. It needs to be restrained correctly, not with a thin collar around its neck, so if there was a sudden jolt or you had an accident, it would hang itself. If you don't restrain it at all, it'll go through the windscreen. Being in tune with it, tuning into it. Now that takes some doing, to tune in to the needs of an animal, because an animal can't speak your language. So you need to learn how to speak that animal's language, and it's not easy. And I often think with Jazz, who's just come up and sitting under my chair, I often think with her, I wish I could understand what she's saying. But there are certain things that we understand, certain times of day, there's a ritual that means this or means that, and you tune in with your animal. Well, Lancelot was never tuned, nobody tuned in with him. Maybe Maria tuned in with him, but he didn't get tuned in with. Nobody is so busy and chaotic at the chateau, nobody's paying attention to the needs of a dog. And I said this in a previous video that upset some people. Nobody tuned into his needs. How does a puppy learn how it can go to the toilet. Where does it go? It's a big house with steps, with all these different rooms and all these different people and all these different legs. Where do I go to the toilet? How do I go to the toilet? And a puppy needs to be toilet trained several times, many times a day. I'm not a dog lover. No, I take that back. I like other people's dogs. I'm not a dog lover in that I wouldn't have a dog because I am not able to care for a dog because I find dogs too needy. But I know how I feel about dogs and wouldn't get a dog for that reason. I'm not a dog hater, but I know that tuning into a dog's needs is really difficult, and dogs have needs all the time, and I can't cope with that. I like animals like a cat who isn't needing stuff all the time, like the chickens who aren't needing stuff all the time. But a dog has needs all the time. A puppy is a 24-hour job. You can't just ignore it. It shouldn't be held at height. It shouldn't be on a bed. It shouldn't be on furniture, because if it falls off, these are such fragile dogs that they break. It can fall and break. It's like children. I'm trying to think. There's a thing about babies. Babies, you're not meant to let them start standing and walking, or making them walk and stand until they're a certain age, until their bones are strong enough to support them and not bend. And it's not that babies' bones are as fragile as this dog, but there are rules. There are things that you need to know, and I don't think they know them. In fact, I know that they don't know them because we've seen examples of that in their previous care of the dog that's now dead. I'm sorry for the long pause, but I am just exasperated, and people will say it's nothing to do with me, but I think animal abuse is to do with me. I think neglect of an animal is my business, and if you're showing it on YouTube and making money out of it, then it's my business. You're making up my business. I'm showing me. So the dog, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others, I know I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I've seen tattle up in arms about it. The dog is bought to exploit for money on YouTube. It made them money having Lancelot. Is it Galahad? Galahad will make them money, and that's all it's about, is that they lost their income stream that they were getting from Lancelot, and they've had to replace it with another dog. And I hope that people open their eyes and see what's going on. I get a lot of hate from people that love the Chateau Diaries. They just are not able to see what's in front of them, and it just astonishes me, absolutely astonishes me, that they can't see. And I shouldn't say that, because I couldn't see it at the beginning. I'll hold my hand up to that. I couldn't see it at the beginning, but I had my eyes open quite quickly. So that's it. I've said it, and I'm going to publish this, and if I'm going to warn you what it's about, you don't have to watch it, but I hope that dog makes it through to a year and not just 8 months, which is what happened to Lancelot. And I don't even think his ashes are back at the chateau yet.